glad you're here. Welcome to Unity Presbyterian. Most of you know me, Jeff Perks, the organist here. And we had this group, were y'all here last year or 2 years ago? So we had the group last year, and they did such a great job. And if you're used to just a small church handbell choir, this is not them. They do the coolest stuff. They were using some tubes. I swear they had like pool toys out a few minutes ago or something. It's really cool. But I'll let him tell you more about the group later. But I do want to say that they are not charging us to be here, so whatever you give today will go toward their group. And if you look at the back of your program, they have several ways of giving there. And I know they're trying to come up with their own bells and save money for that. And if I'm not mistaken, like bells can be $600 or $700 a piece, right?
That's on the low end, yeah.
Really? So, if yeah. Wow. Well, I'll start with one of those then, maybe. I can give $50 toward one of those. Oh, yeah. Hey, I didn't bring my wallet. But there are several ways to give, and you'll see them on the back of the program. And also our box back there that you put your offerings in. Feel free to put cash in there or a check, and I think it shows how to make a check out in there. And if you give it to any of these guys, they'll be glad to take money from you, I'm sure. So yeah. So thank you again for coming. We try to do this every once in a while, and we're still working on our next one that's coming up. Not sure what it will be, but I will let you know. If you're interested in giving money toward our concert series here, you can always give toward our monthly instrumentalist. We usually have one person every month. And you can always sponsor a musician, and you can always sponsor a musician for the Easter and Christmas musicals that we have too. So you can see me about that. But today is about them, so you guys enjoy the Bells of Lake Norman.
Good afternoon. My name is John Johnston, and behind me are the Bells of Lake Norman. I will talk more specifically about the group a little bit later on in the concert. So you've got a little bit of time to think about things. I will also give you the opportunity to ask questions about the group or about the instrument later on in the performance as well. So just keep that in mind. The first song, obviously, a lot of you have probably recognized. It's a theme from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Fred Rogers obviously was one of the creators of that, and happened to help write that song. Of course, he always ended things with, won't you be my neighbor? You are my neighbor. So I think a lot of the songs that you'll hear this afternoon are songs that you probably have heard in some fashion or another over the years. Some of them very unique and very obvious. Others are probably going to be something that you've heard in the background and probably didn't realize it. And that really goes into our second song, Danse Macabre. It was written back in the 1800s, but it has been used over the years in lots of different TV shows, movies, cartoons, plays, musicals, so on and so forth. It's got a little darker tone to it. It's Danse Macabre. It's got that dark feel to it already, just based off of the name. It is one of our most difficult pieces that we have in our folder this semester. It is also the longest piece that this group has played, with well over 200 measures. So it's not a short piece. So hope you enjoyed Danse Macabre. A lot of things going on in that piece. And I hope you're hearing the different tones that's coming from the table, because you will hear or three or four different instruments coming off the table this evening as we go through our concert. And I can talk more specifically about that a little bit later. Changing gears a little bit, going back to a tune that's probably a lot of the younger children really picked up back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Disney Pixar came out with a movie called Toy Story. You've Got a Friend in Me. I know my daughter, where's she hiding at? She's over there. Thoroughly enjoyed that when she was little. So, but it's, obviously they use that theme for Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and all throughout the movies and such. So, hope you enjoy You've Got a Friend in Me. Wait, that'll be later. hand the microphone over to someone else for a few moments.
Thank you. Hey, good afternoon. We're so glad to have you here today. My name is Dawn, and I'm going to give John a little bit of a chance to get his hands on some bells. Our next song was composed by Gershon Kingsley in 1969 for the album Music to Moog by. It was performed using a Moog synthesizer, which enabled the performer to utilize different sounds, and that was a new technology at the time. The song's title, Popcorn. The name is a combination of pop for pop music and corn, which was used for kitsch, which meant overly eccentric art. Popcorn became a worldwide hit 3 years later in 1972 when it was covered by the American pop band, and I'm not making this name up, Hot Butter. That's an appropriate name when you're playing the song Popcorn, right? This song topped the charts in many countries around the world and was covered by many different groups. Of this song was when it was done by the Muppets, the Swedish Chef. Okay, the Swedish Chef. If you've heard of the Swedish Chef, it's very fun. The arrangement that we are playing today was written by Amy Mockestad. This arrangement has kept our bass bells very, very busy, and they are very glad. It's all malleted, lots of 16th notes. The treble bells, you'll hear them use a couple different techniques. You'll hear some malleting, and you'll also hear some what we call martellato, where they're actually going to go into the table. So this gives us some varying sounds, which kind of goes along with this emulating the Moog synthesizer. We also have some fun instruments in this one. We have the boom whackers, and they love just getting to whack those things. So we hope you enjoy Popcorn.
All right, changing gears a little bit more. The next song that we're going to play, you're going to sit there, and those of you that are familiar with the movie that this is based off of are going to go, "You're doing this in the spring." Because this particular song could be normally looked at as a Halloween song. It could be looked at as a Christmas song based off of the movie, A Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton. It's one of those songs where Jack Skellington whose Halloween Town is thrust into the wonder of Christmas Town. Instead of a gray and black and white and gray, it's full of colors, full of life. So his question is what's this? time just a little bit. The next song is a song that goes way, way back, really into the early 1900s. It's a song called Skidamarink. Some of you may know the tune. Some of you may even know the lyrics. Some of you may even know the hand gestures that go along with them. That's all right. If you know them, feel free to join us. But it is a children's tune. It's very simple, very easy, very repetitive to pick up, which is one of the things that makes it so nice for small children, especially preschool, early elementary school children, which we've got one elementary school teacher who was Teacher of the Year in her county, or in her school this past year. But anyway, we won't get that too much there, Jen. But anyway, Skidamarink. Hope you enjoy this arrangement of Skidamarink.
Okay, there we go. So earlier we had a snack. We had some popcorn. So now how about some peanuts? we're going to go to the circus. So our next song is entitled Dreams. It's from the movie The Greatest Show. In this movie, P.T. Barnum's life is chronicled from boyhood to adulthood and shows his intense desire to prove himself. Young Phineas lost his mother, and he and his father were barely scraping by. When his father became ill and subsequently passed away, Phineas was left on his own to survive any way that he could. He also had his eye on a special girl whose father said absolutely not, but he was determined to prove himself so that he could be worthy of her. Through the ups and downs of life as portrayed by the movie, P.T. Barnum had big dreams of how his and Charity's life would look. The chorus of the song states, "Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's going to take. A million dreams for the world we're going to make." I believe we all have a spark of P.T. Barnum in us. We all want to, we dream of the future and we work to make that a reality. Our arrangement of A Million Dreams incorporates bells and chimes and silver melody bells, which you've heard these different instruments throughout the day, but these each take a turn playing the melody. We hope you enjoy A Million Dreams.
So our next song, we're going back to a Disney-themed song. It's called Baroque Hoedown. The name of it, probably going, what is this? Well, the Baroque, it does definitely sound like something you might would hear from Johann Sebastian Bach, but it's got a more modern feel to it. If you've ever been to Disney and stayed for the late night Electric Light Parade, you will recognize the tune. It gets in your head and it goes over and over and over again. But it's a lot of fun, depending upon how fast I decide to take it. So, Baroque Hoedown. come to that part of our concert where I'm giving you the opportunity to ask questions. I hope you've been thinking about that. But before I give you that opportunity, let me tell you a little bit about Bells of Lake Norman. We started in the fall of 2014 as a quartet, 4 ringers, playing most of what you see behind me. Not all of it, but most of it. We played like that for about a year and a half. And then we started getting inquiries, would you interested in expanding and going out to a full ensemble? And our answer was yes. So we started from there, went to two and a half, sometimes we pulled 3 octaves for a semester or so, and then ultimately grew into what we have behind me today. The equipment that we have on the tables, the bells all belong to Center Presbyterian Church in Mooresville. The bells and the chimes and the silver melodies. The boom whackers are ours. The mallets are ours. There's a few other items that are ours, but most everything else, the tables are ours, but most everything else belongs to Center Presbyterian Church, and they graciously allowed us to use their facility for rehearsals on Tuesday nights. And along with using the equipment. So that gives you a little bit about the group. This is an audition group, so if you're interested, please see me at the end of the concert. I'd love to talk with you if you're interested in joining us. As you can tell, and as you were told earlier, this is not your church choir. We play a wide variety of music. Yes, we periodically will play some sacred stuff, but as you see this afternoon, we play a lot of fun things as well. So, what are your questions that you might have for us? Yes, ma'am. How do I pick my music? I throw a whole bunch of things in the air and see what I can catch. No. It's a variety of things. It depends on what hits me. And Dawn and I, we sometimes we have a theme in mind, and sometimes we just pick music for the heck of it, and kind of roll with it from there. Obviously, Christmas time, most of our stuff at Christmas time is geared towards the holidays. In the spring, we tend to have a little bit more fun with things. But we have had times where, like for example, one semester we did old-time rock and roll stuff from Beatles to other John Lennon stuff, and all the way to ABBA. A wide variety of things. One semester we did theater, and that was the semester that we did Pirates of the Caribbean and Phantom of the Opera and several other things. So that's, it all depends on what we're deciding that we're going to do that semester. Yes, sir. The silver, or the little round bells, those are the silver melodies. Those are the ones the cylinders. Yeah, the cylinders. We got this, ladies, if you're right here in the middle, silver, you've got one silver one right there. Is that the C? Okay, give me the C. Go ahead and ring that one. That's a silver melody. It is cylindrical in shape. And then compare that to the C bell. That's you, Camille, or Beth would be fine. Or the C chime, which is made of aluminum. You can hear the three different colors of the instrument itself. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Good question. Very good question. Any other questions that you may have? Yes, ma'am.
Performances do you do over a year?
We try to do no more than 5 per semester. This semester we've got 4, and this is our 3rd of 4, so we have one more in 2 weeks. But I try not to do more than 5 if I can help it. We had one semester where we did 8, and it just about killed us. As you can tell, we've got a variety of people on the table. We have folks from, I'll never tell. We have folks from Salisbury. We have folks from Statesville. We have folks from Mooresville, Huntersville, Denver, Lincolnton, Stanley. What am I missing? Salisbury, yes, I mentioned Salisbury. I mentioned Statesville. Troutman as well. We have a mother-son, a father-daughter, We have 2 married couples. We have another mother-daughter that's in there. Let's see if I'm missing anybody else. And yeah, 2 Dawns, 2 Jennifers. What? Jennifers are both Jen P's, so which is real fun. So what? Yeah, we do always seem to put the 2 Jens together. They work well together, though. They really do. Exactly. All right. If there are no other questions, once we finish our last song, if you'd like to come up and talk with the Ringers, see the music, see the instrument a little bit closer, please feel free to do so. They'd love to have a chance to talk with you. Also, as it was mentioned, we are in the process of trying to raise funds for the instrument. The bells alone are about $50,000. And on your program, you will see on the back there's a QR code, one that takes you to our website, the other one takes you to our Venmo. Checks for Bells of Lake Norman or cash, we'll be glad to help you, as mentioned, the box in the back, or you can see Dawn L. Allison.
If you donate $5 or more, we'll give you a pretty sticker.
Yes, yeah. Those are brand new. We've had those for almost literally a week. Those are brand new. So, if no other questions, then we're going to move forward. The last song is more of a pop tune, and it's kind of one of those things where we've talked about, or we've played some of those melodies and bringing memories back to us. This one reminds us of sweet dreams and what they're made of. enough talking for one night.
You guys, that was amazing. You know you've been to a good concert. If you leave a concert and you can't pick which one was your favorite song, to me, then you've been to a good concert because you liked them probably all. I loved every song. You guys are just really great. Remember to put a donation in the box or just hand some money to the guys. Thanks for coming, you guys. We enjoyed it.
Again, feel free to come up and talk with folks who'd like.